Hello and welcome to the Nonsense Chronicles. This is Doug Sashery. As always, I am joined to my right again.
Rob Mendiola.
Thank you, Rob.
How's it going, Doug?
It's a good day. It's a good Sunday.
Have you recovered from our Friday adventure?
I have. Yesterday was a beatdown.
Yeah.
Man, it's a good thing I don't drink.
Yeah, I know, right? Can you imagine?
Yeah, because I can't. No, I can't imagine. You know, but no, it was. I was worn out enough, man, and then
you put in about a good 8 to 9 hours.
Yeah, just there. Not alone what I did the day before. During the day
we were
before
out at Sawyer Park, Ice House.
Yeah, in the Woodlands.
Yep.
It says spring, but it's actually.
It's a very cool place.
Yeah, it was nice.
I can't wait to go back.
Yeah, I'm. Those guys apparently bought that X amount. I was talking to them before. I think there's 4 partners that bought it, and
okay.
Yeah, it's nice.
It's fixed up pretty nice.
Yeah, everybody was super friendly. I like the layout of it, the length.
Yeah, it's perfect, man.
Yeah, I think it is.
It's got a nice stage.
Yeah, and even as hot as hell as it was outside, the way they have it conditioned inside is great. Yeah, and I would suggest anybody going out there and we did that.
It was a good show, successful.
Yeah, Dryden Pool is between tours, so they had 2 one-off shows. They have one they did there, and they had one in Little Rock they were doing with Pop Evil. So
cool.
And then they go back. I want to say, well, it's got to be soon because I'm leaving Monday, and I'm pretty sure that they're leaving somewhere close to that date too. So
and we'll see them and Pop Evil in Gettysburg.
In Gettysburg is correct.
Mid-July.
Yeah.
Sweet. So what do we got going on today, Doug?
Oh, today we have brought in Mr. Brandon Crick. How you doing, Brandon?
Doing all right. How you doing?
Doing good, man. And
welcome.
You know, we talked on the last episode that we did about my personal weight loss journey we talked about everything on the episode, but we did more part of it was on that because I had just reached my goal. And I talked about on there how you can, when you're 18 or 22, you can go eat 20 pounds of burgers and sweat it out in the sauna. Yeah. I'm serious. I used to be able to do stuff like that.
Yeah.
It does not work like that once you get over the 30s and 40. So, and you can't do the same exercises, the same walk. You can all doing that is good, but you've got to mix things up, man. And I said this before, and Brandon was the one it got me on. I'm pretty sure you got me on the Lose It app as well. Yeah, that sticking on the food is the most important thing at that age. That's first off, because
diet.
Yeah, you can exercise all you want, but unless you change your diet somewhat, and thank you gallstones, but that's a big deal. But then I went to Brandon, and Brandon has Junkyard Fighting Fitness Arts, or is it Fighting Arts?
Fighting Arts and Fitness, or Fitness and Fighting Arts. There we go.
Fitness and Fighting Arts. I'm reading it on your shirt.
It's somewhere close, but he has a gym in Montgomery, and let me tell you, it is great. Like my cousin, I had a cousin that runs our company, Tony Sasher, my oldest cousin, which he's 11 years older than me, and people call him, hey, your uncle. I'm like, that's my cousin. It's not my uncle. But he said, first time I told him, he said, kickboxing. Like, no, I'm not going in there and doing the crane technique. And, no, I'm going and doing the training. And when I say I'm doing the training, I'm doing a small snippet of the training.
You're doing more of the fitness aspects of kickboxing.
And let me tell you, man, I am very big into interval training, getting your heart rate up and bringing it down, getting it up and bringing it down. And the classes their burnout sessions were exactly what I needed. In fact, Brandon had to get on me and, hey, you got to slow down your weight loss because it's too much right now. Which that was funny, man. Like I said, and I was seeing new decades, man. It was exciting. I call it a decade every 10, you get to 250, 260, whatever. They all decades. But, I was dropping through them. And, man, it was so fun because before all I could do was I could bounce within about a 10 to 12 pound thing, and I wasn't getting past that.
Yeah.
But when I changed my diet and went in there and changed and added that into my routine, it was night and day, and I was so excited to be in there every day.
Your energy level was coming up.
Oh, definitely, man. Yeah, it's definitely. And I got the classes down. In fact, now I've got a hunger to go back and do the classes. But I got off once I got the routine down. I knew what to do with myself. I plugged my own music into my head, and he's got good music there playing, which is good too. But
Johnny Pool.
He's got everything. Yeah. He's got good mixes on his stuff.
Nice.
But
So were you worried about him when he came in?
So I don't really worry about people if they're committing to a journey. The people that I worry about are the ones that come in and they're like, yeah, I need to lose 30, 40 pounds, whatever.
Yeah.
And they start working out and like, man, this is just way too hard for me. I don't think this is my thing. And they fail. Those are the people I worry about.
Right.
Because they're allowing all these excuses to just take over their life.
Sure.
And
I'm tired. I'm going to be tired every day.
exactly. Yeah. And you got to be stronger than your excuses. And a lot of these people aren't.
Yeah.
And I did tell him.
You've kept up with it, Doug.
Well, I told him when I went in that first day, I said, yeah, you going to bring it? I did tell him I was a smart ass.
Yeah.
Now, I'm sure
challenged me.
Yeah, a lot of people are going to be smart asses and leave still. But no, I mean, I was committed, but then when I had the gallstones, I think I had to take off maybe a week. Once, I don't know if I took off that long, but once that happened, I was like, well, I got no choice. There's no going back.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, I would much rather work out and not have, but I mean, even having the gallstones than having a stroke or a heart attack. And, when you get older, your body is changing, man. You better, if you want to, you better pay the bills now so you can enjoy it later on. But Brandon, tell us about the gym. Tell us about you coming here from, Brandon's from Washington originally.
So
but
how'd you get here and how'd you get started?
Tell us about your
story.
Tell us your background, man.
I grew up in Spokane, Washington. I was there until I was about 23, 24 years old. Most of my early martial arts journey started there. And then I moved to Seattle for a couple of years. Trained a bunch of different gyms up there. Then moved to Dallas in 2006. And basically I divorced and didn't want to be where I was at, where my wife was at. And so I moved down to Dallas, worked for a friend down here. And from 2006 until 2019, I was a bodyguard up there, and then I fought mixed martial arts and kickboxing, and then I trained mixed martial artists and kickboxers up there. I had a couple of gyms, and the scene up there is far more sophisticated than the scene down here in Houston. But when COVID hit, Dallas shut down a lot more than Houston did.
Okay.
And especially Montgomery County. Like Montgomery County, you could almost not tell COVID was happening.
Yeah. They were pushing back on it pretty hard.
Yeah. And so we were able to work down here, and gyms were still able to be open down here and stuff. And so I moved down here just for financial reasons, basically.
Well, cool.
Yeah. And then getting here was when I started to realize that the fight scene was far less sophisticated down here than it is up in Dallas. And
it's surprising because Houston's a big city, one of the largest.
It is, but it's also a boxing holdout city. So, the mixed martial arts kickboxing side of it is not nearly as sophisticated.
But wouldn't you say boxing's in decline?
Yes.
Overall,
boxing's in decline. Jake Paul is not saving it by any means.
it's become an entertainment business. More so than the actual sport.
It's more of a sideshow now.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it used to be. I mean, when Mike Tyson fought for the heavyweight championship, everybody watched.
Yeah,
and that was you could not miss that, dude. I mean those fights.
Oscar De La Hoya.
Yeah, my dad was huge into boxing, man. And that, I'm aging myself, but when I was a kid, 10 years old, the 76 Olympics, that team produced so many fantastic boxers.
I mean, it's a long history boxing.
Yeah, I mean, the 70s, 80s, 90s was probably the golden era of boxing. You had the Sugar Ray Leonards, the Marvelous Marvin Haglers, the Roberto Durans.
But it's been around for 100 years. Boxing.
Yeah, it's been around 200 years.
Yeah, 200.
Yeah, the heavyweight division during the 70s and 80s with so many legendary names.
Yeah. I mean, you've got the Foremans, the Moores, the
Frazier's, Nortons. Shavers. There were just so many.
Yeah. And you just don't.
But it
hear
does
that
seem
anymore.
like you just don't feel that that boxing energy anywhere.
You don't. And that's, it's kind of proven in the fact that they gave Francis Ngannou a shot.
Yeah.
Well,
because they need something to make it exciting now,
Right.
So they're bringing outside help.
Yeah.
I guess that's the way I would kind of see it, right?
Yeah. I mean, more eyes are on MMA than boxing now. So you bring a heavyweight champion from the MMA world to box. Mm-hmm. And the guy's got crazy knockout power, but he doesn't know how to box.
Yeah.
And
I'm sure you feel that too, like in your fight style, you get other challenges that say, well, your style isn't as good as mine. And
right. I mean, it's the apples to oranges thing, you know, and I look at it more as like a journeyman to a specialist. Journeymen know a lot of things and they're very useful. Mm-hmm. Specialists specialize in one thing. So if I'm looking to get a problem solved where I have multiple problems, I'm probably going to use a journeyman. If I'm looking for something that's specific, I'm going to use a specialist. Mm-hmm. That's mixed martial arts to boxing, mixed martial arts to kickboxing, mixed martial arts to wrestling. Mixed martial artists are journeymen. They can accomplish a lot of goals at the same time. Mm-hmm. Boxers, kickboxers, wrestlers, I have one specific goal, which is sport specific to what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. And if I bring this journeyman into this specialist world, he's going to get murdered more often than not. But if we go the other way, it's not even going to be a close contest.
So in your gym, are you mixing their training, or
we mix
focused
everything.
on one or the other?
No, we mix everything. I believe most mixed martial arts gyms that claim to be mixed martial arts gyms, when they separate out the classes, they're ignoring the first M in mixed martial arts. It's supposed to be mixed. If I'm not training it mixed, then I'm not going to have good transition. And that's a problem that a lot of these mixed martial arts gyms have. And they do it, honestly, to increase revenue. Because now I have 7 classes instead of 4. But when I say, okay, well, you're just doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu today, or you're just doing kickboxing today, or you're working with your boxing coach today, has that boxing coach ever dealt with a wrestler or a leg kick? Because if they haven't, they're going to teach you incorrect stance and movement. Has that wrestling coach ever had a guillotine put on them if they shot too long?
Yeah.
Because if they're not, they're teaching you an incorrect shot.
Right.
So if you're not using each aspect of mixed martial arts with an eye on the other aspects of mixed martial arts, then it's not going to work as well.
Right, because they're not understanding the dynamics between each of the other.
Yeah, and I mean, I can't tell you how many times you watch the UFC, PFL, Bellator, whatever major promotion you're watching, and you hear a commentary say, well, this guy's got really high-level kickboxing, or this guy's got really high-level BJJ. Yeah. And then somebody beats that person in what's supposedly their strength. It happens more often than not with the BJJ guys because they like to be on the ground on their back. Yeah. And in MMA, you can get ground and pounded. That's just life. Mm-hmm. And so you'll get guys that they're like, oh, well, he's a super high level submission artist. And in the lower levels, he'll get his submissions. But again, then you get like the Damian Maias of the world, who was a world champion jiu-jitsu player. And when he got up into the higher ranks and people could control his hips and ground and pound, it didn't matter how high level his submission game was.
Yeah.
And so if you're training like that and separating everything out and not mixing it, then you get kind of this false sense of security that's incorrect.
Yeah. So you make sure they have all their tools.
Yep.
Cool.
Y'all talked about the fight a minute ago. So that was a fight. Was that the fight like 3 weeks ago or something? Was that a MMA guy versus a boxer?
You're talking about Francis?
Or did it happen?
Francis Ngannou. Yeah. So Francis Ngannou fought Tyson Fury. Mm-hmm. And then he fought Anthony Joshua. And so Tyson Fury is a heavyweight champion boxer. And Ngannou did all right against Tyson Fury, but he still lost. And then he fought Anthony Joshua and got knocked out. And we're talking about Francis Ngannou in MMA was one of the scariest knockout artists in the sport.
Yeah. But the skills are just different, you know. I mean,
the skills are different.
He's a huge dude.
You have to worry about more things.
Yeah, that's right. You know, that's okay. Now you talked about. We talked earlier before we got on mic about how different things used to be on the gyms and stuff. And explain to me, because I really wanted to know the answer to this, but I wanted to wait until we got on mic. What is a gym invasion?
Oh, a gym storm. Okay,
gym storm. There we go.
So back, I'm sure it happened long before I got involved in martial arts as well. But through the late '90s and early 2000s, you'd have people do a gym storm. And what it would be was some instructor insulted another instructor, or something. Said my style, my art's better than your art. And so that instructor would grab his whole group of students, all the people that was his badasses, and they would go to a gym and they would just show up and they would be like, let's spar. And then they would spar, and you either got the crap beat out of you or you didn't.
Oh man, that's too funny, man.
Yeah. It's a good exercise.
It was different. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the problem with that is then you start getting assault charges and stuff like that as people get more litigious. And so those kind of went by the wayside and disappeared.
Yeah, plus you don't know what the heck you're dealing with, in there. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's actually how I ended up at my longest running instructor's gym. I was doing Kung Fu with this guy in Spokane, and he had insulted this other guy, a guy named Kevin Franson, and one of his other instructors was a guy named Milt Bollinger. And I was 16 years old. I was working at Target at the time, and the guy at the service desk took a liking to me, and he heard all this stuff was going down, and like my instructor didn't tell us what was going on. He just said, hey, so we're going to have a sparring session with some guys from another dojo on Friday. So everybody just show up and bring your sparring gear. And we're all just like, yeah, sweet. I mean, we didn't even think about it, right?
In other words, I just put your butts on the line.
Right. And he didn't even tell us what was going on. And so like, we're still wearing the little cloth shin pads and those old like plasticky sparring gloves.
Yeah.
And it was, I think he told us about it like 3 weeks out, something like that. And just didn't say anything else. We just went back to training. And I was at Target one day, and this guy, Dennis, came up to me and was like, hey, you train at American Fighting Arts Academy, right? And I was like, yeah, why? And he said, you guys are about to get your butts kicked. You have no idea what's coming. Have you ever taken a leg kick before? And I was just like, you can't kick to the leg. It's illegal. And he was like, no, it isn't. You're about to get leg kicked. You need to meet my father-in-law. And I was just like, why? And he's like, because he's going to show you what you're up against. Man, dude, I like you. I don't want to see you get your butt kicked. Yeah. And so I was like, oh, whatever. I'll check it out. And so I went to this guy's gym, and it was no bigger than this area. Mm-hmm. It was tiny. It was just a little house on the side of the road that he converted into a gym. And I walk in, and this just super surly, grumpy old man just comes up and shakes my hand. He's like, I'm Milt. Who are you? I'm Brandon. So you're the one's about to get his ass kicked, huh? And I'm just like, wait, what? I guess. And he's like, listen, you guys do Kung Fu. We do Muay Thai. There is a difference.
There is a difference.
And it's going to hurt you. And I was just like, yeah, whatever, man. And so he's like, well, go get some pads. And so I had my little bag with me, and I still start pulling my stuff out. And he's like, what the fuck is that shit? And I'm like, it's my sparring gear. What? And he's like, no, it isn't. And so he went out and he got me some Muay Thai shin pads and boxing gloves. And I'm like, well, we don't wear these. And he's like, you're going to wear these today. And so he kind of set me up in my stance. I had the real low Bruce Lee style stance on the tightrope, and he's just like,
that's
stand
a
like this. Yeah, he's like, stand like this. And I was like, why would I stand like that? Because I can move like this, whatever. And he just leg kicked me.
Yeah.
Just out of nowhere, just leg kicked me.
Just takes your legs right out.
I'm on the ground, just holding my leg in agony. And I was like, what was that? And he's like, that's a leg kick. That's what you're up against. Yep. And like, it was all of a sudden like the whole world opened up to me.
Yeah.
And so I spent 2 weeks with him learning how to check leg kicks, learning how to throw a proper jab instead of this lunging straight punch that karate guys throw. And, the circular blocks went away. They were replaced by parries and wedges. And I think I showed back up to AFAA like twice during that 3 weeks. I just was there. I was at Milt's place, just learning. And then Friday shows up. Kevin brings all of his people in, and they beat the crap out of everybody in our gym. Yeah. Including the instructor. The only one left standing at the end was me, and I was still limping because I wasn't real conditioned for it. Yeah. But I walked off the mat, looked at my instructor, said, fuck you, I'm out. And joined up with Milt, and I was with him for 15 years.
Wow.
It's a Kung Fu, it has its thing, Yeah. And it's a cool thing to learn. Right. But it's not a real fight style. Yeah. No. Muay Thai is probably the closest you're going to get to actual fighting.
Yeah. And, I even take it a little farther because I became enamored with Dutch kickboxing when I moved over to Seattle. Yeah. Maurice Smith was at the gym we were at, and watching him and at the time he had fought Ernesto Hoost a couple times and Peter Aerts. And so I was starting to watch that Dutch kickboxing style of, boxing hands, boxing footwork with Muay Thai kicks and clinches and knees. And I was like, yep, that's what I want to do. And that to me is the most realistic form of striking you can get to.
Yeah.
And
it's effective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's nasty.
Man, that's, it's, there's so many little facets here and there. Like I said, I've been taking just listening to you talk about it, and
now you have your own place, and so it's been going good for since when?
We opened in 2021, October 2021.
Okay, so still pretty fresh.
Yeah, pretty fresh.
And you got about how many?
We got like 86 members now. It's taken a long time to get there. It's been a long road.
Well, that's pretty good growth still from 21.
Yeah, I mean, we're blazing.
Considering you made it through the pandemic.
Yeah.
So
barely.
That was tough for a lot of people. So
yeah,
just to say you survived through that is like, that's good.
Yeah, and it's been a slow road. I've had a few core people that showed up that changed the tone of the gym, and there were a few times where, man, I was ready to close. Like I couldn't get enough people in. People that did come in had never taken a leg kick or anything before. Yeah. Take a leg kick, cry, run out. Don't want to be here anymore.
Right. Now, are you training mostly students, or have you been able to get any high level people in?
So right now, the area is so inexperienced when it comes to fighting. It's been building a whole fight team from scratch. I've had a couple of people that have been able to fight, but they one of my fighters came from Tallahassee, so he already had solid foundation before he got to me.
Yeah.
The ones that I've built from the ground up, we're right now just getting to the point where they're probably ready to fight. Because it takes a good year and a half to get you to that point where you'll survive in a cage.
Mm-hmm.
Does Matt fight anymore, or does he just...
Matt hurt his shoulder.
That's right.
Yeah.
That is right, because he does some weird stretching for that, too.
Yeah. Yeah. Matt would have been competing by now, but he's been spending the last probably 6-7 months just trying to avoid surgery.
Wow.
So it's rough.
He's a good guy too, and he's a good instructor. He's
a fantastic instructor.
I took a lot of classes with him.
That's one of your instructors.
He does my 6 p.m. class.
Okay.
And
Matt, what's his name? Matt
Warner. If you want to be pushed to the point where you might puke, he's your guy.
The only reason why I remember his name is because we train on Matt's.
Right.
Yeah. And no, he is very good. And coming up to this, in the gym itself, like I said, you have kids that go there, and you also have real fighters, people that are trained to fight.
Yep.
And then you got people like me that are just coming for exercise.
Tony Saturate staff.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I have all over the spectrum. I've got all the way from the most adorable 6-year-old little girl all the way up to I've got a 54-year-old, a 72-year-old.
Oh, there's older people there.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it applies to everyone. We, as humans, we evolved fighting. That's why our fists roll the way they do. That's why we stand and walk the way we do. We evolved through fighting anyway. So genetically, it speaks to us. And not a single human being on this planet can say, when I get mad, I don't clench my jaw and ball up my fists. Is what we all do.
Yeah, I just read an article on Fox or something that a 66-year-old man beat a 24-year-old man trying to steal his vehicle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And knocked him silly,
Yeah, it's the nature.
And it's not just about fighting, it's about the training. Like what I went for was for fitness. And not only just fitness like losing weight, but the flexibility and stuff that you get, that it gets like doing the kicks. You got first time I went there and I was stiff as hell, and I'm still stiff at 58 years old, but no, I'm a lot more flexible on it than I was when I started. Your balance and everything else. This is all helpful as you're getting older.
Yeah, and that type of movement is something you can't get anywhere else.
No, I agree. Because this is and no training that I ever did I get that specific.
Yep.
Than I got from y'all on that. Yeah,
Doug was excited. He came here in the studio. He was like showing me all the stuff he learned. I was like, that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's fun stuff. Yeah. It really is. And the fun thing about it is like even my people that are older and like would never compete,
right,
are able to help the younger kids get ready for fights. And so then it just becomes this family environment that's, we're all kind of on the same team.
Kind of keeping everybody motivated.
Yeah. Energized. It's awesome to see.
Yeah, that is good.
And tell us a little bit about the kids, what's going on. How can you, what are you going to do for the kids that come in? And, parents are trying to, like, there's T-ball and there's all this. Well, tell them about kickboxing.
So for one thing, for kids, we are year round. So it's not something where like, what am I going to do for this season? What am I going to do for that season? You can compete year round. And
do y'all have summer camps or anything kind of going?
So I tried summer camps, and summer camps didn't really work for us, but I have 2 hours of classes every night. So it's just as close to a summer camp
constant
as you can
camp.
get.
Yeah, it's always.
It's a constant camp.
And the other piece that I found of it, summer camps end up being babysitting sessions.
Yeah, I can see that.
They're not really learning anything, right? I want these kids to learn.
Yeah.
These kids need to get better at what they're doing, because the other piece of it is they don't have a team to fall back on. If they lose the game in a football game, our quarterback sucked, the refs were against us, whatever. If you lose a kickboxing match or a wrestling match or an MMA fight, that's on you.
Yeah.
100%.
Self accountability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you have to be good. You have to be ready. And that it holds these kids more accountable.
Yeah.
Plus, it makes them more resilient. These kids have to go through the fact that their partner might not always do what they want them to do. It's one of the things I run into with these kids all the time. We'll be drilling and then we'll go to live drills where, okay, now your partner's going to resist. He's resisting. He's sticking his elbow in my back. He's supposed to.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of kids, especially in this day and age, where they've been catered to so much by every adult around them that's just, oh my God, you're hurt. Well, let's go over here and sit down and take a break or whatever. They don't have that resilience.
Yeah. Shake it off.
Yeah. And so in class, I don't give them that out.
Yeah.
And I just say, look, if you don't fight back, he's just going to keep hitting you.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's hard for the parents to watch, but it's like, you watch that kid ball up, and I was like, hey, he's not hitting you hard, but he's going to keep hitting you.
You're able to keep
I
track of the safety.
Yeah. But eventually you see that kid finally turn towards his partner, hit him back, partner backs off, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, that's how it works.
Confidence.
Right. Yeah. And it builds confidence and it helps them.
And when you're trying to hit somebody else back, they're not as keen to try to attack you at that level.
Yeah. And it was very hard for me to build the kids class. The first couple of years, I had a lot of parents that the minute it got hard, the minute their kids cried, they'd pull their kids out. Oh, this is really scary. Your kids are going to get hurt. They're not. I'm very good at keeping it safe.
Yeah.
But over the last 6 months, I had 2 families show up that one of them came from Vegas and they've been around the fight culture their whole lives and understand it. And those kids being in the class, those 2 groups of kids, when they just wipe off the tears and get up and go back at it, all those other kids, especially I have this adorable little 6-year-old and her 8-year-old brother, who they get the crap beat out of them sometimes, and they just go back at it, and they don't back down to anybody, bigger than them, smaller than them, whatever. And having other kids in the class, even older kids that are 12, 13 years old, twice these kids' size, watch them do that when they were just crying over in the corner asking for a break. It turns them around. It's like, oh man,
it's inspiring them and giving them the confidence.
Exactly. And then the parents of these 2 groups of kids are fantastic too, because they push, but they're not like belittling, berating, yelling. It's, you can do it, get back in there, which helps.
That's what your ultimate goal is, to teach them, right? So you're teaching them.
And the kids when they get there, the first thing they do is they exercise. They have stretching. They have little routines that they do. Teaching them discipline.
Yeah.
And
I teach them a little self-reliance too. They have a list of the warm-ups they have to do every day, and they're responsible for their warm-ups. I don't run their warm-ups. They're responsible for doing them.
Okay, cool.
When new kids show up, the more experienced kids are responsible for teaching them.
Okay, cool.
So it teaches accountability.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is very cool because I usually have to scoot over because I get over and
you take up like 4 spots for the kids.
And them kids are coming in a circle and they got to run over me like a train.
Yeah, and they do not care. They'll go right over adults. Yeah. It's kind of funny.
And this weekend. Oh no, I'm sorry. Scratch
Not this
that.
weekend.
Give us the date of the. You have a tournament coming up.
Yeah, July 20th.
Is this your first tournament or?
Oh no, I've run 3 now.
3? Okay.
And then I'm a ref for the International Kickboxing Federation as well, and I've refed I don't know how many.
But in Montgomery County, is this Montgomery County?
So this is Conroe. This will be our second one in Conroe.
Conroe, Texas.
Yeah. And it's the International Kickboxing Federation's Point Muay Thai tournament, and it's July 20th at the Lone Star Convention Center. And it's semi-contact Muay Thai. So it's for those people that are just kind of dipping their toe in whether or not they want to compete. It's not full contact. There's no knockouts allowed. So you're not going to have people drilling each other in the head, throwing elbows, knees, stuff like that.
Is it mostly a youth event, though?
No, it's youth all the way through adult.
It is? Okay.
Yeah. I don't know the oldest we've had compete, but we had a 58-year-old competing last time.
Not this one.
Right.
But it's...
So what do they win there in the tournament?
They win medals. And we do keep track of their records.
Okay.
And...
So this isn't like a belt advancement thing or anything, is it?
Yeah, so there's title fights.
Okay.
So the way it works is you have at least one fight per tournament. And we track your record, and you get a medal for every win. And you can qualify for the state championships. And right now we're holding them in Dallas. Because Dallas is where it's just far more popular.
Sure.
And you can get title belts. You can fight for a title and win a title belt. And what it does is it helps them work through the pressure and the adrenaline dump of a fight, because they're going to be there. Our last competition in spring, we had 164 fighters. The one in Conroe last year, we had 96. Mm-hmm. And then in Dallas, it's always 200 or more.
Wow.
So you've got hundreds of fighters, and then you got to figure at least a couple parents for every fighter.
Yeah.
So they're in front of crowds of 800-900 people. There's pressure.
Oh yeah.
Right. Kids don't.
Nerves.
The
adrenaline.
And
all
kids
that's
don't really
in.
understand an adrenaline rush until they're going through it. So they learn how to maintain poise, deal with the crowds, deal with the adrenaline rush before it quote unquote counts.
So you're more conditioning them.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're conditioning them to deal with the problems and the pressures.
Yeah.
And also we're teaching them how to use correct technique, because since they can't go for knockouts, they have to focus more on how good are my leg kicks, how good are my teeps, is my shin check good, what's my clinch look like. So they have to actually technically win.
They got to strategize and
rather
increase
than
their
just
fight
try to
IQ.
hit somebody harder than the other person.
That's called fight IQ, right?
Yeah, fight IQ. Yeah,
cool.
So we raise their fight IQs as high as we can,
There you go.
and then they transition into amateur, which would be, they can do amateur kickboxing or amateur MMA. And then that's full contact. Now you're getting hit to the head. You're in a cage or a ring. The boxing commission's there.
Wow.
But by the time they get to that, hopefully, they've already conditioned themselves well enough from these tournaments that it's not as big a deal.
Yeah.
Because I vaguely remember my first fight. It was so long ago. But it was scary.
Yeah, and not as scary for the parents, too, when they're taking them to these next level events,
Yeah,
right?
they've seen their kid get a bloody nose or they've seen him take a leg kick. And it's, always at every tournament, there's at least a few people that cry. Some people take a liver shot and drop, whatever. So you've seen that now. You understand, okay, he's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Whereas
they learn to trust the staff, the coaches, the trainers.
And the rule set.
Yeah.
And what it used to be where, my first fight was in the basement of a strip club. And like you went and paid them money.
That sounds kind of cool, actually.
They paid you on a
Fight
bathroom
club
scale. It was scary because they weigh you on a bathroom scale, and then they're like, "Hey, that guy over there is about your weight. You're going to fight him."
Wow.
And I'm just like, "Oh, what's his record?" And they're like, "I don't know. Go ask him." So this dude's got 10 fights. I've got none, and he beat the crap out of me. And I was nervous. I was scared. I don't think
probably had a rap sheet.
No, he was a nice dude. Actually, I mean, like he and I maintained a friendship afterwards.
Yeah, that's cool.
I don't think I used a real technique.
Yeah.
In the round and a half before I finally just took a knee and was like, all right, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I used
That's a learning experience,
technique.
though, right?
Yeah.
You learn from
But
it.
I froze.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have frozen if the tournaments that I had participated in before had been like this. Before I started into full contact, the only experience I had were point sparring tournaments, like karate style, where you jump in, you throw whatever technique you think you can land. The judges decide whether or not they actually saw that technique land. They stop you. They stop the action. You step back and you wait and you see whether or not there's a point. Mm-hmm. That's not fighting.
So your people at your gym are getting multi-level experience, and you know that helps.
Yeah, and we're trying to make
that's worth it.
Yeah, and we're trying to make it multi-level experience for everybody.
That's cool.
We're trying to do it for the whole state. That's what the PMT is trying to do.
What's PMT?
Point Muay Thai.
Okay.
So, International Boxing Federation is the largest sanctioning body for tournaments in the world. And we're affiliated with the Hodges brothers out of California, and they run Point Muay Thai tournaments out of California, Texas, and several other states. I think Arizona, New Mexico. And they're huge. But that network provides experience and connections for these kids and the coaches that you're not going to get anywhere else. And it fosters a sense of cooperation that's missing in Texas. There's more cooperation in the Dallas gyms, but there's very little cooperation in the Houston gyms. And that's not the case on the West Coast. Mm-hmm. On the West Coast, like watching the UFC last night, there was a fighter, Andre Fili, who had Kieran Fitzgibbons in his corner and Team Alpha Male corners in his corner. Mm-hmm. Kieran Fitzgibbons is the head striking coach for CSA Academy. So we're talking two super camps cornering a fighter together. You would never see that around here.
Yeah, that is unusual.
Yeah.
Get some good training.
Exactly. And that was...
Well, because sometimes they have like a boxing and then they'll have like the ground guy.
Well, yeah, and even when I was younger, when I was at AMC, we would have guys come up from Team Quest, or we'd have guys come up from Slow Kickboxing, or we'd go down to Team Quest because they were better wrestlers than we were.
Yeah.
Right? And so you filled each other's games.
Right. I saw that a lot, you know.
Yeah.
Where they bring in boxers to help your striking.
Not so much that. We're talking about other mixed martial artists who are better at another aspect of mixed martial arts.
Okay.
That came in to fill your game. Bringing in a boxer to help your boxing doesn't help your boxing for MMA because they don't know how to stand and move for MMA.
Yeah. What else to look for?
Right.
Because you got 6 other things coming at you.
Matt Lindland and Nate Marquardt Nate Quarry and Randy Couture to work with Maurice Smith. Now you've got one of the greatest kickboxers in the world working takedown defense and takedowns with some of the best wrestlers in the world. That's how you make each other better.
Yeah.
Because they all do MMA together.
Nice.
Now, this July 20th event's coming up, and
that's a day event, like it starts early?
Yeah, so weigh-ins will be starting about 9 a.m., and then usually the fights start around noon, and we go till we don't have anybody else to fight.
Cool.
Yeah, I wanted to say on this that the gym, Junkyard fighting...
Fitness and fighting.
Fitness and fighting.
Yeah.
It's on his shirt, though.
They're located
Some marketing guy told me to say fitness first because fighting scares people.
Okay.
I could see that.
I went for fitness. Hey,
I could see that.
But
thought logic.
It's in Montgomery, Texas, on Highway 105. Everybody knows that coming out of Conroe.
No, it's Montgomery. It's right behind Magnolia.
It's Montgomery.
Yeah.
Well, Conroe is in Montgomery County, right?
In Montgomery County, but I'm in the city of Montgomery.
Yeah.
Oh, he's in the city of Montgomery.
That's us.
Okay.
That's us, man. and it's right behind Magnolia Diner.
Yep.
And I would suggest that he doesn't do contracts. I mean, look, come in.
Yeah.
And he also has a sauna in there, and he's also got a cold tub.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. And both of those things work really well. Yeah. And also for the tournament coming up on the 20th, I know the Nonsense Chronicles is one of the sponsors, but he has sponsorships available for that tournament as well. So
yeah,
it's a good opportunity.
Anybody can reach out to us, and we'd be happy to talk with them.
Yep. Man, thanks for joining us today, Brandon.
Oh, appreciate it.
Thanks for coming out to the studio.
Absolutely.
It's always nicer to have people here.
Right.
I agree.
Yeah, I like it.
All right. Well, that's it. Thank you. And please like and subscribe. And also, you can find Junkyard Fitness and Fighting Arts. You can find him on Instagram, on Facebook. Easy to find. And he does a lot of videos. So if you're kind of curious of what's going on for your kids or for yourself, there's lots to see there. I've seen the videos and I've shared a ton of them too. So
yeah, if you look on our Facebook page, you can get an idea for what we do.
Yeah. That's it. Join us again.
Later.
Later.